So on that note, please join me in giving a rousing welcome to Julian Stobbs and Myrtle Clarke, the Dagga Couple. Thank you.
Well, it's all rather emotional. Thank you very much for filling this auditorium. We were absolutely blessed. We can't believe how many people have come to support us at the very first Clinical Cannabis Convention. From having an SAPS revolver in my cheek for 5 hours, semi-naked in a freezing cold kitchen, to standing before you at the Linda Auditorium has been quite a journey. It is exactly 7 years to the day that the armed police arrived at our property, forced their way in looking for a drug lab, and changed our lives forever. 7 years of pioneering, 7 years to transcend the fears that we once had about taking on the mighty state and their punitive drug laws. It has cost us our careers, it has cost us our past lives, and it has cost hundreds of thousands of rands, even with the generous support of the A-team at Schindler's Attorneys.
One of the first certainties at the beginning of our campaign was that we would need experts to give evidence in court on our behalf. It occurred to us that there was a chance that we might have all of these experts in town at the same time. And a dream was born. It became a reality today as we have the opportunity to share our experts' vast knowledge with you. This Clinical Cannabis Convention has been 7 years in the making. On the subject of pioneers, we aren't the only pioneers in this building. We consider you all pioneers. Pioneers that can perhaps see the future of a South Africa leading from the front in cannabis law reform and research. Thank you. We are, after all, the third largest producer of cannabis in the world.
Look around you. The person next to you could be a surgeon, a homeopath, a general practitioner, a nurse, an inyanga. There even could be an illegal underground cannabis oil manufacturer. They all have different medical practitioners with all the same intent, the desire to help the sick. Conventional, traditional, allied and alternative medical practitioners all under the same roof, each with their own sets of parameters, different research strategies, and standards of proof. Cannabis fits well into all of these paradigms, but let's not get confused as to what an alternative medicine is. To us, cannabis, having been used for over 6,000 years, it couldn't possibly be described as an alternative medicine. It was around long before any alternatives came about, and we'd like you all to remember that. The challenge here is to make sure any future legalized regulation has cannabis in a completely unique column. It's a medicine like nothing you've ever tried to categorize before. Is it a medicine? Is it an alternative therapy? Is it a herbal remedy? Or is it a health supplement? Or is it a dangerous intoxicant?
When we were arrested, we had no knowledge of cannabis as medicine, in the clinical sense of the word. In 2012, this really brave woman, Lindsay Martin, approached Julian at a fundraising screening in Cape Town and begged him to source cannabis oil for her stage 4 colon cancer. We knew through Rick Simpson an oil extracted from cannabis was being used to treat cancers with remarkable results. Lindsay died from complications following unrelated surgery 3 years later, but there's no doubt in our minds that the cannabis treatment extended her life. The same can be said for these two great men. The name Mario Oriani Ambrosini, MP, is synonymous with cannabis and cancer in South Africa. And our late advocate, Robin Stransham Ford, added to our experience of seeing this plant at work in the terminally ill. We have never claimed that cannabis cures cancer. But Robin was there for us for 2 years of our fight because of this plant. He steered our ship with characteristic aplomb, and he named the trial of the plant and joined the queue. He gave us unique insights into the mind of a dying man, and we are forever indebted to him for this. Oh, how we wish that Robin, Mario, and Lindsay were here with us today.
Today, there are tens of thousands of South Africans using cannabis protocols to assist their conditions. Some of them use it to get high. We do. We're part of the 238 million other humans who consider it preventative medicine and mental therapy. We're not using it to get well, we're using it to be better. We're not using it, it enhances our experiences of life, but society looks derisively upon such behavior, as if our desire to get high was somehow laughable or inconsequential.
Apparently.
It certainly is illegal. The
The
plant is complex, and so are people. It is essential that each person finds the optimum way of using cannabis and to dose themselves accordingly. There's no one-size-fits-all with plant medication, as there is with conventional medications. Patients who have shown the most remarkable recovery have done so of their own accord. The law prevents them from discussing this with their doctors, so they've taken advantage of the internet and the underground to empower themselves. A unique experience for most who are used to relying on their doctors for information on their condition and its treatment.
Thank you to all of the brave cannabis growers, traders, and pioneers out there in South Africa for helping so many people. Of course, there are black market scam artists preying on the vulnerable, but we believe that the overwhelming majority of cannabis products and producers we've encountered are really passionate about what they do and how they do it. Of course, legalized regulation will deal with the snake oil problem more efficiently than the free-for-all that exists under prohibition. More research needs to be done. How much have you heard that? We may never know enough, but acknowledgement needs to be given to research that has already been done. Very credible academic research is being presented in the Pretoria High Court, and we'll be back there on Monday morning. We believe the anecdotes of the underground networks must be taken into account too. These people use cannabis, have seen how cannabis medicine works, and have realized its preferred delivery methods and dosages. The tabloids label them drug dealers. It is extremely important to recognize our vibrant, viable, and highly organized cannabis industry before legalization brings international interests that will try and barge in and take over. We are striving for a uniquely South African solution that includes research by South Africans, for South Africans, and the rest of Africa.
One frequently asked question we get is, what will legal cannabis look like in South Africa? Well, the proposals for the legal regulation of cannabis in South Africa has been 7 years in the making. Right now, this document is an outline that needs to be expanded on by you, the cannabis activist, the healer, the health practitioner, the industrialist, the traditional healer, the entrepreneur, and anyone who has an interest in seeing fields of green for all South Africans. Every point in this document needs to be scrutinized with one question: who is the regulation excluding and why? If there is an absence of a logical, scientific, or constitutional reason for excluding anyone in the revised laws concerning cannabis, then those proposals need to be reworked. This document is our armory for once we get out of the judiciary and into the legislature.
We aim to have our voices heard when it is time to change the law, and this is especially important when it comes to big issues, such as the inherent corruption that we are already experiencing when it comes to the issue of controlling and licensing this plant. Nobody owns this plant. Nobody. I ask you, who is going to play God? We look forward to your input in the coming months so that we may proceed to open this up for public comment before finalizing the draft. And to all of you South African cannabis users out there, we insist that there will be nothing about us without us. Thank you for being here with us today. We hope our speakers provide you with much food for thought and leave you on a high note.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the very first South African Clinical Cannabis Convention.